Morning guys, morning on the farm from Kelpang Pit. Hey, did I ever show you in that last video my completed carport? I think I showed you completed, but probably didn't have the cars in there, but it looks pretty good. Gotta get that wood facade up there. Took the forms off of the patio over there. And what else did I do? Well, I also, out at the front gate, I think I remember when I was leaving for my tour of the village road video, that I had gate, holding the gate open issues because I had those two bamboo poles that I used. But I used my auger, and I put two big old holes in there, and I put about a meter long 3-inch PVC pipe on either side. Put about half of it in the ground, the other half kind of comes up high enough to underneath the gate, so because each side of the gate has a post that will drop down into it. And cat's on my legs, don't make me fall down, cat. But yeah, now it's easy, drops right in there. I use a 3-inch because, you know, the earth moves, stuff like that. I don't want to have a pipe big enough for just the pipe or just the bar, because then it would have, you know, if it moved at all or anything, I wouldn't have been able to put it in, would have had to dig it up. I don't want to do that. I also use the auger on, you remember that garden bench I made over there with the trestle over it? Well, this massive wind that we had the other night, it blew the trestle over. I had dug holes, but I didn't dig them that deep, you know. I dug them about, it might have been about a foot deep. I thought it was going to be deep enough. And I used side braces at the bottom, but I guess it didn't work. So I used the auger, dug me some serious holes, put them back in there, and that ain't going nowhere. Speaking of the wind, now that I just remembered. So, you remember maybe from other videos my, see if I can see, yeah, my street lights, right, that I put up there. Well, those street lights are on a kind of a, you know, you can adjust them high and low, right? And I didn't crank it down because I wanted to, you know, I guess adjust it maybe on the fly or something. Anyway, those other three, I don't know if you can see them, but the other three, the wind had just folded them down. So that's one of those, hey, you got to get up there and fix that projects. I mean, you got to get up there on that bamboo ladder. But I don't know. I might be able to take a bamboo pole and, here, let me set this down. I might be able to take a bamboo pole and just push it back up with the same amount of strength that I did when I put them up there in the first place. Yeah. Well, let me show you my table, because I have done some work on the table, and I put some legs on it, put a cross beam underneath the bottom of it, so it's looking pretty good. Pretty good, and the cat's getting ready to jump from the wheelbarrow onto the table, I imagine. He's trying to get everywhere. But yeah, so the table's coming along nicely. But I am going to be limited. Anyway, yeah, the table. If you guys remember that when I was showing you the table, I think, you know, when I was first going to make it, different sizes of wood, different thicknesses, and I try to basically put them all level on the top side, right? But that just couldn't work the way that I had to attach them on the bottom side. And the planer, you know, I would have to have like a major industrial planer to do everything, but my planer, I would have to make, you know, probably 400 passes to whittle this down. So what I did was, and maybe you can see this here, I don't know. Oh, let me set this down for a minute. Change the viewfinder. Yeah, so you can see this one piece is bowing down a little bit. This piece right here bends down because it's, you know, the wood itself is bowed. But I think if I put something underneath, like one guy over there, what are you doing? You want to get up? It moves though. You know, with a lot of pressure, it can move. So I think maybe I can put something underneath there to, you know, screw it into these two pieces of wood or whatever, or all three, and make it raise. But this piece of wood, the end piece, was probably, and you can maybe see it back here, was probably the thickest piece. So what I wanted to do, the others are kind of alright, was to shave part of this off, at least where it meets this other board. I could have it raised up here, that's probably not a problem. So that's actually what I was doing yesterday, or the day before. Let me turn that viewfinder. I had my grinder with the saw blade on it, and I was basically just, you know, giving it an angle and cutting part of this wood off at an angle. And I was using, you know, I have a bunch of different gloves, but yesterday I was using my not so favorite gloves, which are these gloves. These gloves, they're really great for lifting stuff, maybe, you know, lifting pieces of wood or gardening, you know. But the cloth means they're quite movable. I mean, you know, more movable than my other gloves, like my green ones, by all the ones that have rubbers on the inside, but they fit like a glove. To coin a phrase, right? So they fit really good, and I don't have to worry about it. So what was happening yesterday was, or the day before yesterday now, was I was holding this with both hands, it was really working good. I was like, oh my God, that works great, you know? And I was going all the way down the line there, and I was being aggressive with it. And what happened was my hand slipped down the shaft. Even though I had two hands on it, it slipped down the shaft, and the edge of the saw blade caught the glove. And when it caught the glove, it pulled my hand into it. And yeah, it was not pretty. Let me show you the glove. Let me show you this glove so you can get some idea. So yeah, this is the glove. Let me actually show you the glove like this. Where are you? Wait. So yeah, this glove, you can pretty much see what happened was it got caught right there on the one ring finger, pulled it in, and went ripping right up the side of my middle finger, and then right into my index finger. So if the glove is any indication of, you know, the accident, you can tell that it was pretty devastating. I kid you not. I immediately took, let me see if I can do this. It's kind of hard to get around it. I immediately, you know, took my other hand, obviously the one glove's good, and I held them close to my chest, and Dot wasn't here. She was out the corner, you know, a soup place getting something she hadn't eaten that morning, so she went out to go get some quitio, which is one of the nice things about living out here. Just go down the street and get some hot soup. And but I was like, no. I mean, I hadn't seen it, but I thought for sure that was not good. You know, it jacked the saw and it stopped the saw, and it dropped on the ground, and I quickly unplugged it, and I ran over here holding my hand and ran upstairs because I needed to, I needed to get my keys, take myself to the hospital. So that's anyway. So yeah. So, and I'm gonna grab my phone. I'm like, where's my phone? So I grabbed my phone to call Dot, and so I called Dot, and the phone rings at the house. So she actually didn't have her phone with her, and so it was that was a nightmare. But I did have another one of these hanging over the balcony here on the just hanging over here. Anyway, so and up here is where I actually took off my good hand glove, and then I knew I had to take off the other glove. I'm like, no. So I just peeled it off, and as I peeled it off, I could see. I did it fairly quickly because I'm kind of panicking almost, and I pulled it off, and then my index finger, that whole top part after the knuckle, kind of just like fell backwards, like I had severed it except for the skin. And I was like, oh no. And so I immediately cupped it with this, and I wrapped it a couple times, and then again I held it tight to my chest with this in my hand like that, And I ran in the house. Where's my wallet? Grabbed my wallet, grabbed my phone, grabbed the truck key, run down there, get in the truck. Fortunately, my pickup is an automatic, and that's one of those things you might think about for you four-wheel drive kind of guys with a manual shift. So I got out of here and I busted down to the T intersection right there at that first intersection where my village enters, and I know the Quitio place, the restaurant to the right. So I looked, I saw Dot's scooter over there. So I just busted in there and I told Dot, I was like, hey, you gotta come, you gotta help me, you gotta have it, we gotta go. And she's like, what are you doing, man? I'm trying to eat breakfast. I'm like, I cut my hand, let's go, And she's like, what? Oh. And because then she could see the blood and everything. So she hopped, I scooted over, she drove like a bat out of hell. We went to a private hospital, and got in there, and it was like a boutique hospital, one of these ones where you have a problem, they can check it out, okay, then they call a doctor to come. And so anyways, they took off the wrap, and they cleaned it, and they bandaged it, and they bandaged each individual finger. By then my index finger had kind of, because I had held it, the blood coagulated and stuff, and it kind of like almost glued it together a little bit. But they bandaged each three of them. They took pictures before, and then the doctor showed up and saw the pictures. Was like, oh no, I don't know, I don't do that stuff. I mean, you're gonna have to go to an orthopedic surgeon or something. I'm like, oh shit. No pain meds either, by the way, and it was painful. So we wound up going, we're out of here. So we went to the Compound Pain Government Hospital, which, is 100% more busy, but they also have 100 more doctors or whatever. And I was just going, oh my God, this is messed up. So, but when we got there, they it's okay, you get the patient ID or whatever, you had to check in and do all that stuff. And I thought, oh, okay, we're moving along here. But then I started to look around, and there are a lot of people. I mean, I had significant injury, but there were a lot of people in there that were, frankly, injured a lot worse than me. I mean, you had guys coming in, motorcycle accidents, half their head caved in, whatever. Elderly people who took a fall and shattered everything. I mean, it started to put my thoughts in perspective. Like, you know what? Don't complain about anything. Just, let's get it going. So I wound up actually waiting for about 3 hours before I could get to the x-ray. And the guy took x-ray, then the doctor came and said, yeah, you're going to need surgery. And so they had scheduled surgery, and they scheduled it, it was scheduled for 8 o'clock at night. And that's because there's all these other people backed up. I mean, there's multiple doctors, but, you know, they're doing a lot of stuff. So I was like, wow, man. So they went and did the admin part of me, and I had to go over to the other building to get a PCR test. And then, of course, it's not a rapid test, so you need to, well, you could do rapid PCR, but I don't think they do them there. And so the PCR tests, they have to wait until that's, you know, result is in, and I think that's why they scheduled at 8 o'clock also. So, but they, you know, take you up through the corridors into the hospital rooms where all the beds are, and then there's a separate room that is for with its own bathrooms, isolation room. So it had to be in isolation until the PCR test came back, which was again about the same time I was supposed to go in surgery. So a little after 8, they came in. Hey, you're good. We're gonna go ahead and put you in a bed, you know, like a regular bed. And I was like, oh great. So we walked down, and I didn't go for a private room or any of that stuff. You know, I like talking to people. And so there were like 8 beds in this, you know, in this ward or whatever, and it was really funny because half the people that was in there seemed to have a injury that was kind of like mine, or otherwise, you know, had that arm affected. And so, but we, you know, I laid down in there, still no pain meds. I was throbbing. I was going, dang. But you know, you could have family in there and stuff. I mean, they had the mats on the floor, and you know, people, there were ceiling fans, a rotating fan like the one I have up here, and they actually gave us a fan too. You could ask, but we didn't ask. They just brought us another fan here, you know, and you plug it in. So that was cool. It wasn't really that hot though, because it was at night already. And yeah, so I just waited, and then you know, 8:30, 9:30, but 10:30 they came and got us, and wheeled me off to the operating room, to the OR. And so I went into the OR, and you know, the guys were like, hey, how you doing, young doctor? You know, very, very clever guy or whatever. And here saw everything. He shared with me his plan, and he said, yeah, your first 2 fingers there look like just some nasty laceration. We can probably sew that up. Your index finger, he goes, you know, you can keep it or lose it. He goes, what I'll try and do is put these, well, I guess he used the word fixation, or yeah, but he wanted to put the metal bars through there, and then, you know, the other way, whatever. And basically attach the 2 bones with metal bars and get it all going. But he said you know, you have considerable tissue loss, so you lost your nerve, whatever. Probably at least one of the primary nerves in that finger, and because it's tissue loss, I'm gonna have to pull the finger down to attach it to the other side, and so you might wind up with like a finger like this, you know. And so I was like, hey, no problem. So, and I went with a local anesthetic, not a general. If it was a general anesthetic where you are knocked out, you know, while they do everything, then they would have had to send me to Pisanalok or Nakhon Sawan or even Bangkok. So the local anesthetic, they just inject it right between your fingers, basically, in your knuckle area, kind of, to, you know, anesthetize, let's say that, the nerves, right? Because you get those 3 big old nerve groups, right? Your radial nerve, which is closer to your radius, your forearm bone. Your medial nerve goes right up the middle, and then your ulnar nerve, which is for your ulna, right? But it all controls the hand, so they just kill it right there. And so, you know, they put the green thing up there, stretch my arm out. I listened to Carabao music while I was getting operated on. It took about 2 hours. I heard lots of suction, lots of drilling, and I got it done. And then, you know, he wrapped it all up, And this is what it looks like. They put a hard cast kind of on this side, which, like I was saying about those other people in where my bed was, because they took me back to that same room. 3 or 4 of them had the same thing going. And I was like, is that the popular thing? I mean, they didn't have their finger cut or something, but one of them had a wrist issue, cut, and all this other stuff. But anyway, so I have this. Now I'm going to get this, I get the dressing changed every day for probably about 7 days. And then if it's dry enough and stuff, I can change it every other day. But I got to go back to him in 2 weeks because there's still metal. Actually, there's metal sticking out, and I'll show you if not in the picture. But at that time, I didn't have any more pain, so that was good. But I thought what was another thing that was kind of cool, you know, in the government hospital. So in the morning, it's like 6 in the morning, you know, people are waking up, whatever, and the cute little Thai lady comes walking through the aisles, saying, like basically with breakfast for sale. The hospital actually, if you were admitted to stay there, the hospital gives you breakfast on a silver tray or whatever. But the lady walks through the basket, you know, kai dao, you know, and for 20 baht you could have a nice fresh Thai dish. That was funny. I didn't get it though, because I was like, what's this? She's selling food, man? And Dot had already gone home. I sent her home. We had to take care of the cats and dogs and come back in the morning. And so she went home about 1 in the morning. And a little bit later, another lady came walking through selling the pomodai, you know, kind of like the Thai blessing. You might see it hanging from your from car rear mirror and stuff. So she's walking through there selling those, and I found that very, you know, very culturally unique. Enjoyed that. Anyway, so yeah, so I sat there, and then later in the morning the doctor came back and let me know, and he spoke perfect English, and let me know he felt real good about surgery and how it came. I did take another x-ray in the morning, and he looked at that, and yeah, so it was all good. You know, I learned a few things. One is that you know, don't be so aggressive with the saw, and don't ever use those kind of gloves with power tools. They're bound to catch, you know, on something. But you know, I suppose the world has a way of slowing you down if you're moving too fast. And I've been doing a lot, right, Cat? And but you know, what am I gonna do, right? I want to get it all done. So yeah, let's take a look for all you guys who are into the surgical procedures of a repair of an avulsion tear in the left index finger. Another good thing is, yeah, it's my left hand. I'm right-handed. Thank you. But obviously it's going to limit some of the stuff I can do. I probably won't have a grasp on that one for a little bit. Alright. Alright, man. Let's take a look. Okay, guys. So you ready for the reveal? I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just because I'm kind of macabre like that, but I don't think YouTube will shut it down. It's not that bad. And I say that because all them other people at the hospital, oh my God. I just, you know, feel bad for all those guys. So I'm just going to take this wrap off. It was really wrapped very, you know, very gently. I just put a wrap around it. Okay, comes off. This thing is like a plaster. You know, they just have it pre-made and they wet it and they put it on, and then you just lift it off like that. They told me to keep this though when I'm getting the dressing changed. And the dressing, again, was just kind of like laid on there. A little bit sticky. but I'm still kind of, you know, I can't, my nerves shot in that first finger. And this one, again, just a little sticky. I'm gonna get this changed today anyway, so. So no big. Yeah, again, a little sticky. Sticks mostly to the sutures. Alright, I'm going to take a closer look. So, this little finger here is the one that it first, I think, caught on. It went through, kind of went right at the fingernail part. And then this one, and I'm not just flipping you off. You can see it just ripped right up the side of that one. I don't know if the macro is getting that or what, but yeah, not too bad, kind of nasty. But this one, of course, this one still has metal sticking out of it. And, I don't know if you can see that. A little macro shot there, maybe. So they, and that's what they did really from that side. They got stitches going down and over, around, and then, you know, through the deal. So basically, if you look at it here, from these stitches over to that stitch, that's what I saw when I took my glove off. This part flopped over backwards. I was like, oh dang. Anyway, they have, you know, very strategically used these pieces of metal up the finger. I think two I think go, you know, between the bones, and one is sideways or something like that. I think I have the partial x-ray I can probably put up here. But anyway, like I said, probably gonna limit using my hand for a while, you know, but accidents happen. I probably knew I was going to have an accident at some point, but usually I probably thought I was going to drop something heavy on my foot, wearing my flip-flops, or, you know, or use a sledgehammer and smash my finger or something like that. I wouldn't have imagined that I, you know, damn near lost some fingers because of the saw. But I don't normally use those gloves either. I think I put those on that morning because they were dry. Because it had been, you know, we had rain a few days. A lot of my gloves, I have them laying around and stuff. They're wet. I can put them on wet, but they were dry and they were actually new. And I was like, oh, cool. And then, you know, as I'm doing with two hands, this hand slipped forward enough to where that wheel caught that glove and pulled my hand right into it. But anyway, so for those of you who were worrying about the hospital bill or the cost breakdown on that, it was the total bill in US dollars came out to $284. So 9,460 baht or something like that. Yeah, that's basically, you know, paid that in lunch money. And of course, the way the insurance is, you send your stuff in to get a reimbursement. But you know, this is, you know, significant surgery. I spent the night in the hospital, and of course, I have all the pain meds now. Tramadol is the primary opioid they give you. But I just have to shake my head. $284. Are you kidding me? That'd be something. You'd probably have to add a couple of zeros on that one in America, like 28,000 or something, to get the same thing happen in America. Anyway, you guys, hope you enjoyed that.
And for all of you who want to be able to tell me what I should have done, had it done, blah, 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 like that, and save it, man, save it, all right? My wife tells me that enough. So, but I definitely, you know, it is a wake up. I definitely will look at everything from a different angle, you know, when you're doing stuff on the farm, maybe more of a safety angle. Probably still not going to wear shoes, but, you know, I definitely will worry about that because I don't have, you know, if I'm not using my two hands, I'm not getting a whole lot done. Because, you know, here on the farm I'm doing a lot of lifting. Pushing. That table is a beast. I can't lift that with one hand. I can manipulate it with two by you know, lift it here, then lift the other end, and lift the other end, lift the other end. But I can't do any of that stuff. And I'm not going to be operating that power saw doing that thing again like that. I'll probably do the planer. I can do a planer with one hand probably. But we'll have to see. You know, I'm sure my wife will keep me slowed down too. No, you're not doing that. Alright guys, well again, I'll catch you on the next video. What I'm going to do also, which I hadn't done, but on the garage, I'll make a short video on the cost breakdown on the carport for those of you who are thinking about doing a carport for your new house or whatever over here. Alright then, peace, back at you.